You're stuck with the nausea when what you want is the fucking, like, blissful high of finally puking your guts out. Huh? What the fuck? Oh, I wasn't expecting this at all. We're back in our room. A familiar ceiling. The smell of the bed and pillows. I knew them well. Was this my room? Normally there wouldn't be anyone in my room besides me, but their presence made me spring wide awake. When I did that, pain shot through my entire body. Feeling alright? I think you better just lie down for a bit. Why was Rena in my room? Blood began to surge through my muscles and my capillaries. But Rena's smile belonged to the Rena I knew well. I knew I shouldn't let myself feel this way, but I relaxed thinking that this version of Rena was safe. Why am I... Don't you remember? After losing consciousness, nothing at all. My body had become more lethargic than I could have ever imagined. I guess that would be the expected outcome after exerting everything I had back there. I tried to at least clear my head, but I just couldn't shake the sluggish feeling out of my mind. I called the doctor. He should be here soon. I think you better just lie down until then. I wasn't injured seriously enough to merit calling a doctor, but knowing that someone impartial was coming was slightly reassuring. Why am I here? I'm sure I was at the dam site. That's what I want to know. What happened? When I got there, Ichikun was already passed out. That's why I am the one who wants to know. I was attacked by two weirdos. As I talked about it, I finally remembered what happened right before I passed out. Recalling that memory, and the terror that went along with it caused the fogginess around my head to clear right up. Let's forget about those two for now. I didn't expect Rena to be nursing me. I thought Rena was trying to kill me. She would have had the perfect chance while I was unconscious. Not only did she not kill me, she had nursed me back to health. Amazing you could drag me all the way back here. Wasn't I heavy? Looking at Rena's delicate frame, it was hard to believe that she had not only gotten me back home, but even dragged me all the way up to the second floor. Did she have some help? Don't you remember, Keiichi-kun? Rena appeared a bit surprised, but still kept her smile. I only propped you up on my shoulder. You said you could walk on your own and that you were fine. You don't remember? I didn't remember. My memory was fuzzy after the point where I lost consciousness. What about those two? Huh? When you got there, Rena, the ones with me, or rather, those two guys. There wasn't anyone. Oh, did we imagine them? It's a possibility that we imagined them. She said it bluntly. The way she stated it felt slightly unpleasant. I was just too timid at that time. I might have been able to force some answers out of Rena, but if I did that, then this kind Rena might transform into the scary Rena who I didn't know. Fearing that, I didn't press any further. Thinking about it, it was the obvious choice. If both of those men were there, I don't think Rena would even have stood a chance. I couldn't find a way to explain it unless I assumed she brought me here after those two were already gone. Rena was still smiling. Her eyes sparkled warmly. Yet, I felt like I was hallucinating when I saw something. Something akin to a shadow slowly creeping across her face. That small omen sent shivers down my spine. While Rina was still Rina, I needed to make contact. I needed to contact Oishi-san. Oh, I thought you meant make contact with Rina and clear this whole mess up. But no, no. Rina stopped me when I tried to get out of bed. She said it would aggravate my wounds, so I should sleep. What wounds? I'd like to go to the bathroom, though. Ah, sorry. Rina couldn't say anything else. While Rina stayed in the room, I quickly went downstairs to get the phone receiver in the living room. When I approached the front door, the doorbell rang. Ding dong. It must have been the doctor Rina had called. It was strange for a patient to welcome in the doctor who was making a house call. But it would be incredibly reassuring to have him here for the considerable time it would take Oishi-san to get here. Watch it not be the fucking doctor. I carelessly opened the door with that simple assumption and regretted it almost instantly. Mion? Oh, you look just fine. I heard you collapsed, so I came to check up on you. How did you know I collapsed? I heard from Rina over the phone. Do I need any reason other than that? I understood why she would call a doctor. But why Mion too? Rina was descending the stairs behind me. Rina, doesn't Kei-chan look pretty alright? Sheesh, you made me worry for nothing. That's true. Maybe I was worried for nothing as well. They both began laughing. It appeared to be cheerful laughter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darkness looming over them. Whoa, what's up with this shoe rack? How did it get like this? The shoe rack that I'd smashed to pieces had been like that since yesterday. I fell, you see. And the bat I was holding at the time slammed into it. This is what happens when you swing around something you're not used to handling. I kept the fact that it was none of her business to myself. But leaving it like this will really startle your parents when they get home. I'll fix it up for you later. Now come on, Kei-chan. The terminally ill need their rest. Come, back in bed, back in bed. Both of them urged me up the stairs. Honestly, yeah, keep fucking Oishi as far away from this shit as possible. He's nothing but trouble. I don't trust him. I had no chance to call Oishi-san. I was pushed into my bed. As it was the first time Mion had been in my room, she began searching around it intently. Oh, she's gonna find the fucking note. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoa. That's funny. That's so funny. She fiddled around my room and was scolded by Rina. You can imagine how it went. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was so benign that it was heartwarming. During that innocent conversation, Mion said something as though it was perfectly ordinary. Rina, did you call the director? Yup. Right after I called Mi-chan. He said he'd be right over. Director? That out-of-place word gave me a bad feeling. Rina called a doctor, then called Mion, and after that she called a director? Who was this director? Since Rina and Mion's conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd. What are you two talking about? Who's this director? Ah, didn't you know, Kei-chan? We mean a director when we say director. Like the director of a movie, or like a foreman of a construction site. I dug through all of my memories for a director who might have business with me. Only one thing came to mind. What Rina had just said. The construction site foreman. The very first victim at the first incident. The dismemberment at the dam construction site. The foreman? Well, that was strange. He was supposed to be dead. There was no way they could call him. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. This feels like a dream that's about to turn into a nightmare. Weird talk at directors and all that jazz. What does that director have to do with me? You said he was coming. Did you mean to my house? I asked one obvious question after another. But all the two of them did was smile coolly at each other. There was a huge difference between how the two of them appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly, I felt discomfort and panic welling up inside me. I couldn't understand what Rena and Mion were talking about. Kei-chan, you've gotten into baseball lately, haven't you? Pretty sure the director will be happy to hear that. Oh dear. Are we about to be demoned away? Surely not. I mean, that would be an admittance that fucked up things do happen in this game, in this place. And besides, the obligatory disappearance has already happened. It was that lady. So who is this director? The director is the director. So who is this director? They're both laughing. Rena and Mia looked at each other and laughed heartily. That disturbing cackle unpleasantly resounded around me. That laugh, long enough to be unsettling, ended abruptly. Oh, yeah. We should finish up before the director comes. You remember, don't you, Kei-chan? Her face was laughing, but Mion's eyes told a different story. Remember? Remember what? Keiichi-kun, had he forgotten, I wonder? About the penalty. About the penalty! Did you really forget? The homework with the mochi? The homework where you were supposed to guess which one Rena made? You forgot about that homework, didn't you? I certainly did have that homework, but I had thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found that sewing needle. So I wasn't able to answer which one Rena made. The penalty for that? Why now? No doubt my question was written all over my face. Their answer to that question was the dry laughter. I could no longer make heads or tails of anything. I began to think that this entire day was somehow insane. Strange. Incomprehensible. Being chased by Rena? Attacked by strange men? The penalty Mion and Rena were talking about. What were these two laughing at? It didn't take long for me to realise that I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. Who were these two? Who were these people? Who were these doppelgangers of Rena and Mion? Rena had gotten behind me at some point. Why was she pinning my arms behind my back? Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. What are you doing? Don't move. This is your penalty. My body was already very sluggish, and Rena pinning my arms made it that much harder to move. I seriously tried to struggle, but she wouldn't even budge. My panic began to well up, and I realised this was well beyond the realm of jokes and pleasantries. This freakishly monstrous strength. It would have been impossible for the Rena that I knew. Then, these thin, frail arms grasping me firmly. Whose arms were they? Hey-chan, no struggling. Club rule number... Ah, it doesn't matter which one. You can't fight against a penalty. Mion. No. That thing that looked like Mion spoke to me like how Mion would speak to me. But I was certain that this was not Mion. Someone who wasn't Mion. Someone who was just pretending to be Mion. Need to finish this up before the director comes. Mion fished into her pockets and pulled out something bizarre. I could tell what it was, just by looking. But for such a thing to be in her pocket, my mind wouldn't accept it. What is that? It was a small syringe. Oh, this is getting fucked. This is getting fucked. This is so fucked up. I feel like in reality, it's probably just a pen. But like, fuck. We're seeing a syringe. That's really genuinely quite fucked up. It was a small, clear syringe. The kind a doctor might use if you went to them with a high fever. Rena held me even tighter. And I could hear that clattering laughter that no longer sounded like laughter blaring into my ear. That eerie laughter. It wasn't something that the Rena I knew could ever produce from her own throat. This thing that was pretending to be Rena, was that their real laugh? Unable to defend myself, the syringe Mion was holding drew closer. Okay, earlier in this visual novel, I predicted that we would get a version of the pen penalty, but with a knife. I wasn't 100% right, but I had the right idea. And that needle tip was waved in front of my face countless times. Don't worry, don't worry. It won't hurt, it won't hurt. What are you planning on doing? What kind of sick joke is this? What are you saying, Kei-chan? You know exactly what's going on, don't you? Oh, what? I don't understand any of this at all. I know you know. No use playing the fool this late in the game. Stop talking nonsense to try and confuse me. You're going to have done to you what happened to Tomitake-san. Okay. Let's weigh our options here. Now, the worst case scenario is that we're about to be killed. A needle is about to be injected into us with something that will make us hysterical and cause us to tear out our throat. The alternative is that they're just going to write stuff on us, on our tracksuit. I personally am rooting for the latter. What? The same as Tomitake-san? I didn't really understand what she meant. What did I have to do with this syringe? You're playing dumb, Keiichi-kun. You should have realized it by now. Rena whispered into my ear, laughing as if to admonish me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare. Playing dumb? Me? About what? What do you mean, the same as Tomitake-san?
Everyone thought at first that it was a hit and run. Except when the officer got closer to check if he was still alive. He soon noticed it wasn't a normal situation. His throat was scratched out.
From a knife or something?
No. Nails.
Nails? Nails as his fingernails? With those gouged through? That's right. Tomitake-san had clawed out his own throat with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that. So then, for that to happen...
Oh, we thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected.
That's right. The police didn't find any drugs in Tomitake-san's system. The police told me they didn't find any drugs in Tomitake-san's body. Oh, shit. Okay, well, in the grim reality that they did just get a knife out. Not a knife, oh fuck, sorry. A pen out, and we're going to draw funny messages on us. For us to suddenly blurt out, like, random talk about the police and Tomitake's body, that's going to put a damper on things. Gweh, 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 gweh. The two of them laughed together with that sickening laughter. Of course they'd laugh. Okay. Maybe... have I got stuff wrong? I don't know what's going on. To assume that such a medicine didn't exist just because the police didn't know about it was completely foolish. Meaning, the drug that caused Tomitake-san to die in such a bizarre manner did exist. If Mion injected this into me, then that would probably be all the proof I needed. Well, that would basically mean I'd end up the same as Tomitake-san. Become hysterical, scratching out my throat in the last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist, for Mion to be holding it, and that I was about to be injected with it. At that moment, I did not feel there was any need whatsoever to question it. What kind of idiot, when he's trying to dodge a ball flying straight for his face, has time to think of a reason as to why it's flying at him? Just give up. Alright then. Mion's actions lacked any gravitas, and that made it even more terrifying. There was none of the ceremony like when someone is sentenced to death. There was no hesitation at all. As if she was brushing her teeth. Mion reached out with the hand and grabbed onto my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head, and the entire world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast? Or did someone hit me really hard in the back of the head? Having lost my sense of balance, I was assaulted by a wave of dizziness. Shit, we're ending there? Oh no. Oh no. There's more. I'll take a breather for a moment. I squatted down for a bit. When I came back to my senses, my entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly, I could tell blood was flowing to my extremities again. How long had I been squatting here? How many minutes? Or has it been hours? It was almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time my eyes were closed. That's how little time passed. There's a lot of time fuckery in this, isn't there? Really? The air in the room wasn't filled with that madness from before. Only a dull silence. Please don't be a body. I don't want there to be a body. I really don't want there to be a body. Rina wasn't there, pinning my arms. And Mion wasn't there, about to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be? All of it? Was a hallucination? There was no other presence in the room beside my own. It was the weirdest experience I'd ever had. I was certainly with Rina and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some sort of comfort. I guess that terrible ordeal was a hallucination. Neither Rina nor Mion, they wouldn't ever do something so terrible. My head grew hot. I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? That wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? I don't understand. I don't understand. Kind to everyone, not discriminating against age or gender. Mion. That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. I fucking knew it! Oh, fuck! Oh my fucking god. We killed Mion. Hey, you know what? Credit where credit's due, game. I was fully expecting it to be Rena, and hey, maybe it still will be. I didn't think Mion would... I didn't think... Fuck! Fuck! Oh my god. It's just hitting me. It's hitting me right now. We killed her. We fucking killed her. And for what? A fucking... We were hallucinating. And... Oh, no. Blood stained a deep red from her head down to her chest. The bright crimson smeared on the walls. That splatter had undoubtedly come from Mion. She always had that bright smile, and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Rena. That same Rena was slumped at my feet, and was making the same pool of blood as Mion. I couldn't comprehend what had happened Rena to. Oh my god. Oh my god. We've killed 2 people. Have we? We haven't oh, have we? Did someone come to save me? Then they beat these 2 down with this metal bat? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in a deep red. There was no doubt that this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in the house. What? I... Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it. I... did this? That's right. Keiichi Maibara. Of course I did it. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself. Hey, me. There is no reason for you to remember it. Nor is there a reason, a need, to regret it. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you? But the blood, there's so much... Neither Rena nor Mion had moved an inch. It wasn't just a split forehead and a trickle of blood, nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red, and that told me it didn't end with just 2 or 3 strikes. Are they dead? Both of them? The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface I was panicking and agitated. Calm down, Ichi Maibara. What happened to your usual calm self? Come on now. Do like you always do. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on. Once, twice. Breathe deeply. Calm down. Calm down. I chanted that over and over in my head, relaxed. Colour came back to my vision and smells reinfused the air. At the same time, I remembered what happened when I blacked out. Oh, don't make me relive it. That was the one comfort I felt, was not having to relive that shit. Rina and Mion had attacked me. They were about to inject me with whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomitake-san. But right before that happened, I fought back. I twisted my whole body and threw Rina as she was pinning my arms. Then I followed through with my spin and ran my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. It was soft. Rina tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satoshi's bat that was left carefully by the side of my desk. Weep. At that moment, everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape of my mind. No. Sorry, fear hiccups are kicking in again. That wasn't right. It wasn't that there was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. Just... the other me inside myself had told me not to look and had turned off the TV. Just because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it, it didn't mean that the videotape within me hadn't recorded it. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. The tape with me, creaking along, still playing. On the other end of that pitch black screen, that horrifying video was still playing on. Compared to this, though. This, the scene right before my eyes, was still so difficult to take in. There was blood splattered everywhere on the walls, the two of them in these unnatural poses. Not a sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I had attacked them. I may have even killed them. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. Balancing that out on an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even feel bad about it. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was justifiable self-defense. Are you really gonna try and fucking castle doctrine this shit, man? The proof was all here. The two of them collapsed here in Mion's syringe. Mion's syringe filled with some unknown drug would certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Tomitake-san. And from the fact that both of these two were involved, they'd be able to pick out the criminals one after the other. Still, I might be suspected for this. But that was just fine. Anyway, now this should be a police affair. This wouldn't fade into the darkness like Rina's past incidents. As long as the police were involved, that should bring this to a close. They'll probably revisit their investigation on the chain of incidents. Oishi-san would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning, my wish of not wanting to die, of wanting to know the truth, that would be fulfilled in its most basic form. If you can find a syringe that definitely exists, then sure. Just don't blame me when you find a fucking biro pen instead. It was all a matter of time now. The doctor Rena called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I needed to contact Oishi-san. At that moment, I remembered. Besides the doctor, a director had been called. It was easy to imagine that there was someone deeply involved with the incidents, judging from Rena and Mion's conversation. The ache in my chest caused by the gruesome deed I'd done dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Stay calm, Keiichi Maibara. It's not over yet. I needed to live long enough to tell the police of this incident. At that moment, I felt like I heard someone's voice from outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean there was more than one person. I moved the curtain ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gate. They very much resembled the 2 men who had assaulted me at the dam site today. Those 2 might even be among them. There was one person there wearing a white coat, but he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. That guy would probably ring the bell and get me to open the front door. Pretend to be a doctor, to get me to open the front door, and then the rest of them would rush in all at once. At that moment, I saw the car parked behind the men and my heart nearly skipped a beat. It's a white van. No mistaking it. That van. The one that had tried to run me down. The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed towards the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend that I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they'd just break the window and enter. I needed to get out of here somehow. Then use a public phone to contact Oishi-san. Then meet up somewhere. First of all, I needed a weapon. Then shoes. But before all of that, there was one thing that I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live and reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse of Oyashiro-sama. But what would happen from here on out, regardless of how determined I was, may bring about my demise. And that was why. There was one thing more important than getting out of here right now. I need to get that clock out quickly, and take down the note hidden behind it. Hey, did you ever pick up the syringe that totally exists? Damn it! The tape was sticking to it fast. It'd be fine if it was torn a little. I opened up the slightly torn note and began writing another passage with a ballpoint pen. I wasn't able to inform Oishi-san. Then the only thing I could rely on was this note. I'd never thought a piece of torn, college-ruled notebook paper could be this reliable before. I had no time. I'd only write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of information that would lead them to uncover the truth. Rena and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. Still didn't want to believe it. But it was a fact. Anyway, I'd leave all the information that would help lead to them finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This was everything I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was that unidentified person known as the director. To begin with, the term director didn't even mesh with Hina Mizawa at all. If they were going to include the directors from the past incidents, then the only one is the construction foreman, the victim from the first murder. The very first victim in the chain of incidents. Killed in a lynching, his body divided into 6 pieces. His right arm was never discovered. The police should have confirmed that death, but Rena and Mion did both call him a director. They said director. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who is dead. The police would never even conceive that someone who is deceased could be involved. Could that be some sort of oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Oishi-san. That's right. They needed to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of this string of mysterious deaths that would follow. So, then, there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim from the dismemberment incident. He's alive. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you would think as much. But was that really the case? Could it have been some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? I shouldn't jump to conclusions, but he may still be alive. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh, yeah. There's something even more important I need to write. Tomitake-san's death was from an unknown drug. That's right, that drug. It was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. No doubt, just by having this, everything would be uncovered. I couldn't just leave that vital clue lying on the floor. This syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe onto the back of the clock with plenty of tape. The people who find it are like, what the fuck, this is a pen? This is a fucking pen. A fucking felt tip pen. So it absolutely would not slip out and fall to the floor. Firmly. Firmly. 2 bodies have been discovered! The bell rang. They were here. I couldn't write anymore. But even still, there was one last thing I had to write. I have no idea why it has become like this. This may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. If you are reading this, then I am probably already dead. So you may or may not find my body. If I was going to write out everything that could happen, either dying from the curse, or being demoned away, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. With this, my last will and testament was complete. It wasn't certain that I was going to die, but it was my final plea. Just in case. I folded the note, stuck it back onto the back of the clock, and returned the clock back to its usual spot. I couldn't help but pray. That's always worked for you. Oishi-san, if something happens to me, I leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down silently at Rina and Mion. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Rina, Mion. I really had thought all of us were friends. But why did it end up like this? I never had any fun in my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores, about if the school I hoped to get into was where I really wanted to go or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rivals in studying, in competitions, in personal records, and standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This month was really fun. Making a fuss over lunch, making a fuss over the club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began dripping from my face. Uncontrollable tears. I should have no obligation to shed tears for them. But they wouldn't stop. Even if they were after my life. Even if they were trying to kill me. Everything that had happened this month, I wouldn't forget it. Or could it be those happy days were all a facade as well? Was it all a trap, meticulously orchestrated up until today to ensnare me? Could it have been that I just arbitrarily assumed that they were my friends? That couldn't have been the case. Both Rina and Mion, they really were my friends. Those happy days, there was nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to try to kill me. Or their minds were taken over, possessed by the supernatural entity known as Oyashiro-sama. Regardless, both Rena and Mion. They were the best friends ever. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. But they weren't the kind of people to sell off their friends no matter what means were employed to force them. And there was no way such a thing as being possessed by Oyashiro-sama could happen in reality. We're like going back and forth between explanations and nothing is satisfying us. Then did the real Rena and Mion come after me? What was I thinking? What a silly, dumb idea. Having beaten down both Rena and Mion, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fakes. There was no real or fake. Only the reality that was before me. Rena and Mion were sprawled out at my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit. That I had beaten my friends to death. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Rena and Mion were both dead. It felt like there was a crack in the dam of strange emotions I was holding back. It felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a bluff, and it receded, and in that opening, insanity was leaking out. I killed them. I killed them. Rena and Mion. I killed them. The doorbell rang again. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into a state of composure once again. I didn't have a moment to spare. Quickly, I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after that. The identity of whoever or whatever had pushed me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass. I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. I killed Rena for that very reason. I also killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake, and for the sake of the late Rena and Mion, I have to survive. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again as if to urge me on. Behind this single, solitary door, they were there. Keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen, headed towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one? After I put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly so as to not make a sound. There he is, the back door! A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run. Get out of here, Keiichi. One after the other. I felt stuff like rationale and intelligence, those things you use when you have time to spare, spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches scratching my arms and forehead. My autonomously pulsing heart also felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire being just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. It probably had no complaints whatsoever, so of course I wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran, just recklessly rushing in the direction I was already heading. Even if no one was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Turning around, I felt a presence right next to me. That presence was, without a doubt, chasing me like my shadow. If I took even one misstep, I would be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran, at full speed. Quack, 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 quack. That was the chirping of the Higurashi, telling me it was evening. Oh, parents will be home soon, that'll be fun. Trying to tell me something, and then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Quack, 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 quack.
Oh,
Sorry, I love that photo. Sorry. Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So, I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi's chirps. But the farther I ran, the farther away their chirping became. I couldn't get near them. Why are you all running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We repeat in Rena. I'm sorry. 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 I felt that only the Higurashi knew. Fuck me. The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave off some crackling electric noise, but it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor where the sun didn't even reach? I recalled hearing that the tax revenue from tobacco was about a tenth of the municipality's revenue. We were the most heavily taxed members of this municipality, so I really wish they'd show us a little more respect. Why would you discard the 5-man tube there? It's just decreasing your options. One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with the Mahjong magazine called Next Turn. You're still in Tenpai if you cut the 5-man. Oh, hold on. Yeah. If you're betting on a Haite, then shouldn't you be going into it with a mangun?
Kuma-chan, look at the pond. They're all discarded a 5-man. It's a safe tile. You'd hate it if, at endgame, someone was sitting on a tenpai on the last turn, wouldn't you?
I don't understand. I don't know anything about Mahjong, so this is complete gobbledygook to me. But I always love how it sounds. I'd love to learn to play it, like, in the same way that I have enjoyed learning to play chess. Because chess was once such an impossibly confusing looking game to me as an outsider looking in. And it's been so satisfying to learn it and translate that into something that I can understand and to, I want to say, feel like I'm actually pretty decent at it. I'm okay at it. I'm no fucking expert. I'm not incredibly good at it, but I can hold my own. The kid let out another groan, put out his cigarette, then took out another one. I just don't agree. Why would you reduce your own options?
By the way, you can't call Ron with your winning tile in that Haiti.
What? Why is that? Just then I heard a voice coming from down the hall. Are you here, Oshi-san? We have a call from a civilian.
Whoa, ain't that something? Well, see you soon.
Hey, Oishi, are you about to fucking be told? Are you about to learn the consequences of your fucking actions?
Oh, that fucking 15-year-old that I made paranoid is bludgeoned 2 people to death. That's great.
Why can't you call Ron on it? Hold on for a second, Oishi-san. The man sitting in the seat Oishi-san was heading towards waved at the telephone receiver. I mean, it's probably just Kaiichi, actually. Outside line. From a payphone.
Oh, why thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is Oishi. Who is it?
Oishi-san? Hello?
Oh, if it isn't my Bara-san. Why, good evening.
From the tone of my Barakun's voice,
I already knew he was in a predicament. This was the first time my Barracoon had phoned me. He was calling from a payphone. Please calm down. Did something happen?
Well, His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. After checking that no one else could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone.
What happened?
I...
Calm down, my Bara-san. I can have the local officers head to your location. I'll be there soon, too.
I think that's impossible. His voice was quivering and hoarse.
He wasn't surrounded by people even as he was making this call, was he? My Bara-san, you're calling from a payphone right now, right? Where is that payphone?
There was no other sounds besides my Barracoon's voice. It had to be a phone booth. I scratched out a note and thrust it at my colleague sitting across from me. Hina Mizawa, phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines.
Calm down, my Bara-san. What is your current situation?
It was best practice to avoid flustering someone already panicking, but
this was an urgent case. My Barracoon just didn't just get in trouble, get away, and then call me. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now. But yelling at my Barracoon right now would just needlessly cause him to be even more frantic. My Barracoon wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something more than that. Or whatever that was, if I didn't get it from this call, I was certain there would never be another chance. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. There's only one booth in Hinamizawa. The patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes. That's too long. How many officers are in there?
2.
Not enough. If it was as I imagined, there were quite likely a few people surrounding my Barracoon. 5 minutes was too long. Did you call the officer stationed in Hinamizawa?
He's scheduled to be on patrol. They're currently out and it'll be impossible to contact them.
God damn. Kuma-chan, bring the car around.
Understood.
Hello? Oishi-san.
Hello. It's all right. I can hear you loud and clear.
There was something wrong with my Barracoon. That wasn't a normal coughing sound. Vomiting? Or was it blood? Had he already been attacked? Or was he injured? My Bara-san, the police are on their way. They'll be there in a couple minutes, so hold on somehow. Hello? Can you hear me? My Bara-san!
I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit.
The worst possible situation popped into my head. My Bara-san! Who is the culprit? How many are there?
I thought at first the culprit was human.
I couldn't tell if it was a cough or vomiting. Are you alright? My Bara-san!
I thought that the culprit was a person and not Oyashiro-sama's curse. Up until right now. But I guess in the end...
It was an intense bout of coughing, then vomiting.
But I guess Oyashiro-sama does exist. No, he's here.
Bara-san, please calm down.
I've been thinking it was strange for a while now. He's been following me this whole time. I run and run and run, but it just sticks to me like my shadow. But slowly, so slowly, it's digging itself into my back.
Bara-san, is he right now, perhaps right behind you?
Right behind me.
Please, my Bara-san. I can tell you're scared, but please, who is it that's right behind you?
I can't just look behind me. If I do, I'll...
I understand that you're scared, but please tell me. You just need to turn around a bit. Who is it? Who is behind you, my Bara-san?
Right after I said that,
I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was a nightmarish sound. My Bara-san. It couldn't be that you're clawing out your own throat. There was no answer, but I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang, as if something was being hit. My Bara couldn't probably dropped the receiver. I could hear groaning and vomiting over on the other end, and a repeating, abnormal noise. Hello? Hello? My Bara-san? Hello? I knew how far away my voice would sound on the other end. I couldn't help but shout. At that moment, I heard whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. From the way he was saying it, was he talking to himself? Or was he talking to someone there? Hello? My Bara-san? Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra he was chanting over and over.
He's apologizing, isn't he? He's saying sorry over and over.
Just my senses, trying to pick up what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? Suddenly, the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It was because it was a payphone. It was because it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came out so clearly in my mind.
Oishi-san, the car is good to go. Oishi-san?
It was... I'm sorry.
Oishi-san?
That's what he was repeating, over and over. He said, I'm sorry. I had a good feeling. There was no longer a need to hurry. I could hear the chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the open window. Quee, 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 quee. I should have been able to hear them this entire time. I just wasn't paying any attention.
Not you two. Not you two.
Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Quee, 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 quee. Were they trying to tell me something? Only the Higurashi knew. It's how I felt.
June 1983. In Hinamizawa, a remote village near Shishibone City, there was a murder involving 2 female students. The suspect is Keiichi Maibara, aged 1X. The suspect called over his 2 female classmates, Reina Ryugu, Mion Sonozaki, to his house and beat them to death with a metal bat. The scene of the crime was the suspect's room on the 2nd floor of his house. He called them over? Wait, he called them over? He called... No, but... It's hard to tell if that's true or not. Maybe it's being covered up the way... Maybe it's not being reported properly the way some of the others were, but... Did he call them over? The inside of the room was covered with a significant quantity of splattered blood, and there was signs of struggle with the victims. In addition to the scene of the crime, the entryway, living room and kitchen all had traces of a struggle. At the entryway, the shoe rack and wall had evidence of being impacted by a strong blunt force. It is believed to have been the same bat as the murder weapon. Having no traces of blood, it is believed the destruction occurred before the murders. There is the possibility that the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. In the living room, the rug had been pulled back, then thrown aside. When he searched for the fucking needle, he's created like a really, really deeply concerning scene. It is hard to believe that this has a connection to the struggle with the victims, and thus the reason for this remains unknown. In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart, and its contents were spread out on the floor. Garbage was strewn about in the surrounding area, and handprints believed to belong to the suspect were discovered. It is believed that the suspect had for some reason taken out the garbage and struck it with his fists. The reason for this remains unknown. In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words, "Was there a needle?" were written on it. The meaning behind this remains unclear. Jesus, Keiichi. You've created the ultimate unsolvable mystery. This is awful. This is fucking awful. Just in case, the garbage was searched, but a needle was not discovered. So the garage door was functional. It had been left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garage door was found closed. The suspect's fingerprints were discovered on the garage door. The reason behind this remains unknown. The suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, a patrolling officer, Inamizawa Local PD, found the suspect collapsed inside a local phone booth. At the time of discovery, the suspect was unconscious in critical condition. He was rushed to the local hospital for treatment, but did not regain consciousness and died 24 hours later. My god, his poor fucking parents. The results of the autopsy indicate the immediate cause of death to have been hypovolemic shock. It was determined that the suspect had clawed at his own throat with his fingernails, and the resulting bleeding caused his death. Imagine if Tomitake had been going through this the whole time, and there was that discussion, early on, when Haichi was like, hey, Rina's gonna fucking kill you. Keiichi fucking died afterwards. That's such a fucking awful fucking thing. We witnessed it over the phone. With the similarity to the death of Tomitake-san the prior week, the police believe there to be a connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wishes of the local authorities, it will be a confidential investigation. Due to the abnormal nature of the death, it was suspected that drugs were involved, but as with Tomitake-san, no traces were discovered. What prompted all this remains inexplicable. As such, this case is being treated as an act committed on impulse. However, with several accounts of the suspect's bizarre behaviour leading up to the incident, it is possible that this was premeditated. Separated from his group of friends, isolation, inexplicable behaviour. Several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying around a metal bat. The suspect was observed displaying aggressive behaviour, as well as talking to himself at school. His classmates have actually heard portions of what he was saying. 2 days before the incident, the suspect declared to his parents the possibility of his death. Due to these circumstances, the police have begun an investigation on the possibility that this crime was not committed on impulse, but was instead planned several days in advance. Afterwards, a note was found in the suspect's room that he had written himself. The note was written on 2 sheets from a B5 college-ruled notebook that had each been torn in half. And as if trying to conceal it, was stuck hidden behind a clock on the wall. The contents are as written in the appendix. The police believe it to be strongly related to the incident. The police changed their line of investigation based on the possibility that the suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. However, no further clues were found, casting doubt on the credibility of the note. So the quote-unquote syringe wasn't there. Was the crime impulsive or premeditated? With the situation unclear and no further developments, the case has been labelled as unresolved. However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. The note was not written on two halves of B5 paper from two separate sheets, but was originally a single sheet of B5 paper. In order to erase several lines from the middle, someone had torn them out. Judging from the size of the letters, the missing section is estimated to be 2 to 3 lines. It is highly probable that the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from traces of large quantities of cellophane tape being stuck to the back of the clock, speculation that something other than the notes was stuck there has arisen. The person who first discovered the crime was a detective rumoured to have a connection with the incident, Kurado Uishi. He underwent voluntary questioning, but denies involvement in any damages to the note. The suspect's note. I, Keiichi Maibara, am in fear for my life. I do not know why they are after my life. The only thing I do know is that it has to do with Oyashiro-sama's curse. Rina and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This is all on the first sheet. The section below this has been ripped out. This is from the second sheet. The section above this has been ripped out. I have no idea why it has become like this. The bit about the syringe was removed. If you are reading this, then I am probably already dead. Did Oishi remove it for some reason? So you may or may not find my body. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. Keiichi Maibara. Well, I'll cast review session. To play it, select extra on the title menu. Holy fuck. Well, that was a fucking brutal ending. To be expected, to be fair. But holy shit. Well, colour me fucking intrigued. I will definitely be reading more of this. I have all of them already. All of the Higurashi ones, I have them already. I'll be taking a break, just to sort of pace myself, until I get caught up with uploads, and then I might start the second one. This was fucking incredible. What an incredible piece of horror. What an incredible piece of media. Real fucking Edgar Allan Poe vibes to it. I loved the fucking increasing paranoia. I love that even now, I have no fucking clue what was real and what wasn't. I don't know what the second one is going to be. I don't know what the second fucking chapter will be like. I guess I might one day look at the extra thing. I'll probably look at it tomorrow. This has a little bonus extra, but... Wow, 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 wowie, wow, wow. Well, thank you for joining me on this. This is just the first part of what is clearly a very complex and fucked up situation, and I can't wait. I can't wait to find out more. I'm very excited. It's been a week and a half since I finished chapter 1 of Higurashi When They Cry. It's going to be another week or so, probably a bit longer actually. Week and a bit before I start recording chapter 2. But I'm very excited, and I also just remembered I did unlock an extra scene, like an extra thing that I never viewed. The all-cast review session. Now, I don't know what this is going to be. It might just be like fan service, it might just be joking around, it might hold some massively important clue, it might make me laugh, it might terrify the fuck out of me, but I need to make sure I have seen this as soon as possible, now that I have remembered that. So let's just jump in. Let's jump in. I have no clue what to expect. We're just gonna have a nice, chilled out little old time. It's gonna be nice and chilled out, I'm sure. Okay, I can immediately see where we're going with this. And I'm fine with it. Let's do it. Fuck. Thank you for buying Higurashi When They Cry Onikakushi, a visual novel by 7th Expansion. How was it? If you enjoyed it, even a little bit, it would make me happy. Even a little bit is stretching it. That incredibly dark ending made me angry, you know. Made us angry. This Onikakushi chapter is the first story that readers challenging the mystery of this entire series get to experience. So it's actually supposed to be somewhat of a prologue. What the fuck? It's a fucking prologue? Oh my god, it's like finishing the first Trails in the Sky game. How could the prologue have such an incredibly dark ending? Yeah, but doesn't that happen sometimes? The player digging through the story in order to avoid a bad ending is the point of these types of games after all. It's still just the first chapter. I'm looking forward to the next one. What happens in the next chapter? Rina, do you know? Yeah. They said the next chapter will introduce another aspect of the story. That's a strange way of putting it. What does that mean? In this chapter, they introduced a string of mysterious deaths that were happening in Hinamizawa recently, right? The next chapter will introduce some of the history of Hinamizawa. With one strange event happening after another, I got totally lost. What exactly is Oyashiro-sama's curse about? Actually, what is Oyashiro-sama to begin with? They didn't explain it much. I haven't heard much about it, but I have kind of a bad feeling about it. It feels like it'll be another one of those scary stories where somebody gets cursed again. Tough luck for Kei-chan. What kind of curse is he going to get hit with this time? However, I am looking forward to seeing what kind of story it's going to be. Oh, not this fucking geezer. I fucking hate this guy. He makes me incredibly angry.
Oh, sorry for being late. My bad, my bad.
Hey, everybody. Good work today. Same to you. Huh? Where's Kei-chan? Keiichi-kun is already off reading the script for the next chapter. Oh, I must be hard being the main character. Huh. That's too bad. Well, you could have at least poked in to say hello. It's probably because he doesn't have any character art, so he couldn't poke his head in even if he wanted to.
Rika-san, That's what we refer to as a personal problem. Yeah.
Yeah, in any case, that story really was a lot of trouble, especially for Keiichi-kun and Rina-chan. Trouble? That was the mother of all bad ends! I wonder, what was the identity of the thing that attacked Keiichi-kun? My theory is that it was the work of people made to look like a curse. But Keiichi made that mysterious phone call at his demise. Yeah, I also thought that call was strange. At that point, Kei-chan should have been certain that the culprits were people. That really was a strange phone call. It almost sounded like he was being chased by a ghost or something. Just from that phone call, it really makes me think that it was the work of a curse after all.
Well, since we're all here, why don't we share all our theories?
Hey, I hope this doesn't enter spoiler territory, but I don't think it will. I think the game is being playful about it, you know? I have to trust that it will be okay. I also have a mod that is like, hey, don't look at the fucking intro video unless you want spoilers, so I would have to trust that the mod would maybe go, hey, don't look at this unless you want spoilers. But Oishi is asking for theories. My theory is that I fucking think you're a jerk and an awful, awful person. And there's more to you than meets the fucking eye. I don't know. My question at this point is, are you this incompetent by accident? Or is there some malicious nature to you? I simply don't know. I suspect you might have stolen some very important things from the note that we left. I suspect you played a great part in the heightening paranoia of Keiichi. I just think you're an all-around snake, and I hate you.
Oh, let's start with Sonozaki-san.
I absolutely believe it was people. I think it was a man-made incident just imitating the strange folklore floating around Hinamizawa. Certainly, every year on the day of a festival, for another link in the chain of mysterious deaths to happen, certainly is suspicious. That so-called chain of mysterious deaths, it has to be someone trying to reenact the folklore, definitely. I think it was the curse. Looking at the scene where Keiichi-san went berserk in the entryway, and the last scene with the phone call, those cannot be explained with a human culprit. When you say it that way, it really wasn't the type of scene that would make you think it was the work of an actual person. Yeah, but even then, I still think it was a person who did it. Our last scene and the one with the entryway. I think that the stress must have driven him into paranoid delusions. You aren't helping me to understand by using such complicated words. In other words, Keiichi was so scared that he was imagining things. Then, what was the meaning behind that scene? What exactly was that mysterious presence behind Keiichi? A red herring. Red herring. Mi-chan, what do you mean by a red herring? Like old man Tomitaki here said, that scene was the result of Kei-chan having a stress-induced delusion from being mentally garnered. The overly graphic depiction was applied to make the player think it was a curse. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, that's kind of the theory that I settled on too, in the end. I definitely think that there's a wider supernatural element to it, but I don't think that supernatural element is directly and tangibly causing people to die. I don't think the curse is manifesting itself in some way and killing the fuck out of people. I think that the curse is more of a passive sort of, you know, mentally debilitating thing that kind of, you know, turns the wheel from a place not visible to human perception. That's just my hunch. That's why it was a red herring. When you say it like that... But... Well, it just means that there's that possibility. In that case, the theory that if the theory that Oishi-san proposed during the story that it was a conspiracy by the villagers was correct? What does the man himself have to say about that?
Me? It makes you think, eh?
Huh? I totally thought that Oishi-san would be behind the people explanation.
During the story, I said it was definitely the work of people. But if a person really was to blame, that leaves a lot of loose ends.
Like what? Let us hear what Detective Oishi-san's theory is.
Well, first of all, if a human is the culprit, then there has to be a motive. In other words, someone has to gain something from it.
So what you mean is, if this was the work of people, there would have to be something gained from causing the chain of mysterious deaths.
Exactly. I felt that someone could have benefited from the deaths of people related to the dam development, but the recent victims weren't related to that at all. First off, who benefits from killing my Bara-san?
I see. Well, if you say it like that, my case is kind of weak too. I mean, none of your money was stolen. There's no way it was human culprits. But that's not everything there is to it, right? Rika's being quiet, sorry. Like Mi-chan just said, there might have been some sort of reason for them to reenact the folklore. Exactly. This wasn't a murder where you consider the typical motives. It makes me think that this was most likely some sort of ritualistic murder to reenact the blood-stained history of the village. So I'll ask the question of the hour. Who gains from this reenactment? It's not about simple benefit. There's a more psychological reason. I think that maybe this was an act of revenge. Something native to the region. Some connection not touched on this time around.
I see. A member of some repressed family, looking to air out an old grudge of their ancestors, something like that. I don't like that.
Then what is it? It could be that you're leaning towards the curse explanation, Oishi-san. That's right! The man playing the detective said so. Oh shit, I'm online on Steam. That's right, the detective man said so. It's decided. It was a curse.
If, as my Bara-san said during the story, it was the case that Oyashiro-sama possessed Ryugu-san and Sonozaki-san and committed those acts, that would fit the evidence the most. As much as I hate to say it.
That was my original theory, before I began to think that we were just hallucinating everything. Actually, I'm of the same opinion as Oishi-san. I can't come up with any other explanation for the normally kind Rina and Mi-chan to suddenly start acting strange like that. About that. It may sound strange coming from the person herself, but I think that Mion, did it. I don't get what Mi is saying. I'd like an explanation. Oh, sorry. In other words, I think this may end up being a really cruel story. Huh? Wait, Mi-chan? You don't mean... Taking the human culprit theory to its logical conclusion, that's how it would seem. I also have my suspicions.
In other words, Ryugu-san and Sonozaki-san both actually had those personalities to begin with and were merely deceiving my Bara-san. Am I right?
I don't like that at all. This is all the curse's fault. I mean, look, I don't know how seriously I'm supposed to be taking this, but, like, it's kind of tragic that Satoko is so all in on the curse, because, like, that's the easiest explanation, and for someone like Satoko, who has been so directly sort of affected by the stuff that's been going on, an easy explanation is going to be the simplest thing for her mind to sort of digest and to come to terms with. Rina-san and Mion-san and everyone else are all nice, kind people. I think that too. I think that Rina and Mion-chan are really good people at heart. I think that during the story, they must have been possessed by something. So Rina also thinks it was a curse. Well, then let me ask, everyone who thinks it was a curse, there has to be a reason for a curse, right? It doesn't make sense for a curse to just indiscriminately befall someone. Can someone explain that? A curse is a curse. Human logic won't get us anywhere. Satoko-chan. A personified deity is, in the end, nothing more than the creation of people. That's why their method of thinking is also understandable to humans. Just take a look at the Greek pantheon. They cry, get angry, get jealous. Basically, they're just like humans. So what you're saying is that Yashiro-sama is cursing people with some benefit in mind? Well, that's an odd way of putting it, but basically, yes.
Well, that's why they say, far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. You do have a point.
Basically, it doesn't matter if it's Oyashiro-sama or humans. There has to be a reason. But Rika, what if that reason isn't clear? I don't know. That's right. This is still just a prologue. There's still a lot of stuff that hasn't been revealed yet. Yeah, it's hard to come up with any more theories at this point. No! I won't be satisfied until this is all made clear. Mion-san seems rather particular about this. We'll just make the best with what we know. Doesn't this feel interesting? Like the club a little bit? Yeah. If you put it that way, it does seem interesting.
Well then, let's summarize. Let's see, I think it was a curse. Tobataki-kun thinks it was people, right?
Yeah. I'll go with it being people. I also agree with the people explanation. That's not to say I hate such fantastic things like curses, but in this particular case, the connection to a curse is a little weak.
Go for the people explanation then. Ryugu-san was on the curse side of things, right?
Yep. Satoko-chan and I believe it was a curse, right? Yeah, I think it was a curse. People who say that Rina-san and Mion-san were evil to begin with are more befitting of a curse. Well, I don't want to believe that my own personality was that twisted. But I have to keep a cool head when I'm in club mode. If I base my choice on just emotion, I'll regret it, you know?
Well now, it doesn't really matter which side you pick, does it?
Huh? Rika-chan hasn't said anything yet. Now what do you think? I don't think that Oyashiro-sama is a bad god. Ah, that's an interesting opinion. I don't want to worship some bad god that just curses people. I'd like a generous god more than one that curses. That's right, Rika-chan is a shrine maiden. Yup, good opinion. Then what? If Rika-chan doesn't believe that it was Oyashiro-sama, then do you think the perpetrators were human after all? We'll just go with that. Rika, what do you know? What do you know? You know something. You know so much more than you let on, I fucking swear.
Well now, that means the votes are split right down the middle. So half of us think it was a curse, and half of us think it was people.
Marina-chan, just for reference, what did the test players who played the beta version think? Yeah, there were a lot more players who believed in the people explanation. See, right there. Our veteran comrades are cool, collected, and very observant. But the beta version only finished partway through the story. That's right. Even the people who played the beta might change their minds if they got through to the very end. Well, what should we do then? This means that the opinions are still split. Well, it's no fun if we don't settle this. We need there to be an odd number of judges, in other words. We need one more opinion. Ah, perfect timing then. Well, why don't we ask Keiichi-kun himself? Now let's call him. The opinion of the victim himself is very valuable. Since that's decided, it's time for the phone! Hello, Keiichi-kun. It's Rina. Are you busy with work right now? Yeah, really busy. Just when I thought I'd get a break because the chapter's over, it's already time for the next one. How's Kei-chan? Busy? Yeah, he's moping. I can hear you, you know. It must be nice having a wrap-up pie. I wanted to go too. You could come if you get some character art for yourself. Rika, that's a secret. Sorry about that, Keiichi-kun. Anyways, during the current chapter, Keiichi-kun, didn't you die? We were just talking about who the culprit might be. Basically, we're deadlocked on whether it was people or Oishiro-sama's curse that killed you. I'm really sorry, even though you're busy reviewing the script. Keiichi-kun, which do you think it was? That's obvious, isn't it? Which? Isn't it both of them? Targeted by suspicious people from the village, and then cursed by some strange Oishiro-sama on top of that? It's both humans and a curse. Everyone's just picking on me. So very, very pitiful. Next time, I'll give you a good patting on the head. I mean, it's quite understandable for the victim to feel that way. For sure. In the end, the opinion's still split, huh?
I'll think this over again. Oh, we might have missed something.
Well then, please look forward to the next release. Higurashi When They Cry, Watanagashi. Oh, well that was fun. That was a funny little bonus, actually. Kind of a comforting little extra thing, you know, after the horrors of that first chapter, you know? I like it when there's like a really, really like a really, really intense piece of horror, and then like there's sort of supplemental material that leans into the idea that it might be some kind of a, you know, like a performance, you know, like a show. And all of the cast is actually fine and totally well adjusted and just jokingly reflecting on the horrors that they've been through as though it was like a script they had to perform. It's a good comfort, even though it's utterly not canon. And Keiichi is fucking dead. What the fuck did Rika mean? I'll give you a head patting next. What? Oh, he's back in the next chapter. Okay. Oh, hell yeah. We go unpunished. That rules.